I wanted to talk to you guys a good piece today, this morning on GoPuff. Interesting business model there. I guess the difference between them and the other apps like Instacart and Drizzly and the others is that they're going to have they have a instead of using current retailers, they're going to have micro fulfillment centers, right?
Yeah, they want to own their inventory.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
They want to own their inventory versus, yeah, I don't know why this is so.
I I think it's maybe the wind.
No, it's garbled regardless of the wind, but no, they want to own their inventory versus Drizzly, which partners with retailers because Drizzly thinks that they can offer more price transparency and more selection that way. But I think for hold on, sorry, I totally blanked. For GoPuff,
that never happens to me, so don't.
Well, I didn't have COVID, so but I do have kids. But for GoPuff, they want to be as integrated as possible because their whole rubric is 30 minutes for a host of things from Bevalk to diapers to snacks to all sorts of things. So it's a different model, and they've got 450, I think, fulfillment centers. They said they service 800 cities. I'm sure they will get more retailers.
That's I mean, they're going all in. Like where it seems like the others are like, we're just an app, and it's more of tying two companies or tying a company to a consumer in their home. Right. And whereas they're like, no, we're going to own the inventory, and it's much. I mean, think of how much more capital intensive that's going to be. But
they don't seem to have an issue with raising it. So.
Right. Well, I guess that's where I'm getting at is that if they win, if the capital is put to good work and the technology works, they will have that advantage. And keep in mind that this isn't a new. This is one of the oldest delivery tropes in the country. I mean, hell, we used to. My mother used to, have a milkman, and no, I don't look like him, but. In a diaper service, so we're kind of going back to where we were back in the 50s and 60s, except that it's not a route anymore. It's you always get your milk on 2:00 on Tuesday. It's I want it when I want it. But even currently, this business model is being used, especially in big cities, especially New York. Like when you think of, I mean, there's a lot of little companies around the bureaus that just service one bureau. Right. And they have a kind of a small store format, but you don't go in there and buy anything. You have to order it online, and they just have bicycles going around delivering. So the model's already in real congested or tightly concentrated areas like New York or San Francisco, but it doesn't lend itself well to like LA or Houston or where there's still a lot of people, but they're more spread out. So, and there's traffic and all that kind of stuff. So, they're taking that little micro model that works so well in New York and they want to do that and scale it nationwide is what I'm seeing.
And I mean, we used Seamless a lot when we were in New York, but I don't think Seamless was kind of like Grubhub. That I think actually Grubhub owns Seamless, but what's interesting to me is the fact that there are going to be so many models after some of the GoPuff news hit. And I actually reached out to Drizzly because I wanted to ask them their perspective, like what makes you guys different and beyond what we've already talked about. He said, well, yeah, we prefer to work with, they prefer to own. There are obvious implications for that. But more than that, he's like, this is the tip of the iceberg. There's so many more models coming, 3-tier compliant and less and everything in between. So it's just like, get ready,
Right. The key is the app. And, kind of like what Paul Renee said at Geloso the other day, we want to be everywhere. Yeah. If you have an app call, for a producer, that makes sense, right? We'll join all the apps for now, and then it's going to probably winnow down at some point, and there'll be a shakeout like every industry, and then it'll end up being Amazon. It'll end up just, Amazon will buy.
And in the end, Amazon will just eat everybody. So
right, and then we'll send that jackass to Mars. Wear his cowboy hat up there. I don't
Well,
want
what's that in like the final season of Parks and Rec, and they skipped like 3 years into the future, and all their like commercials in there were like Verizon, Comcast, like they just shoved eight
Yeah, yeah.
giant companies together, and it's like only 4 companies exist now.
Yeah, but Amazon doesn't care. They don't add anybody's name to their name. It's just always going to be Amazon. It's like, even I'm surprised Whole Foods haven't changed their name to Amazon Whole Foods. Maybe they have. A sea change that I feel like we've been covering it well, and we should continue, because I think this is, I mean, it's happening just accelerated pace. I mean, we've been talking, there've been delivery apps for a few years. I remember Favor was my first delivery app. I was in Austin. It was at your wedding, Jen, actually, because Favor started in Austin, and it was the only app. It was only in Austin at that point, I think. What year did you get married?
2014. Were you favoring giant Band-Aids, Harry, for your murderous girlfriend that you brought to my wedding?
I didn't bring her to your wedding. I brought her to this town that your wedding happened to be in. Oh God, are we going to continue to go? Anyway, I remember I was with Kimberly Clements. We were at a bar somewhere downtown, and I needed tobacco product, and I was like, "Gosh, dang it!" She goes, "Oh, just download the Favor," and yeah, I had my tobacco product in 30 minutes. Wonderful.
I was there. I remember that.
Oh, Jordan, you were there.
Yeah, got some snooze.
That snooze. That's right. Snooze. I don't use that anymore. I use the real old like Red Man tobacco, which
Get a good buzz
I
going.
can't believe that hadn't been canceled. That's a terrible name for a tobacco product, but it sure does. You just put a little pinch between your cheek and gum, Jordan, and boy, you're set. You can just lock in,
Yeah.
put your new headphones in, and lock in, and get all your work done.
I mean, it's poison though. Like, I guess sometimes you don't really have to clean up poison if it's
Well, I
just,
mean,
terrible to begin
Jordan,
with.
I don't know if you are familiar with the molecular structure of ethanol, the product that we are currently talking about all day, every day. We don't like to use the P word around here, but technically,
tobacco's in a worse light than alcohol.
I don't know. I see a lot of old men smoking around here. There's an old man here that lives here. He lives by the pool. So he comes out on his little patio and has a smoke. It looks like he has a smoke about every 15 minutes, according to when I'm at the pool. And we chit chat, and he just, my wife doesn't like me to smoke inside. He looked healthy as a horse, Jordan. I don't know where you're getting this nonsense. Science.
It's understandable, not smoking inside.
Yeah. You're not wearing your new headphones? You haven't got them yet. All right. Okay. So I was thinking of actually doing a pod at the office later this week, because I have 2 mics up there. If you want to do a common pod, just for fun, change it up,
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, also, Sarah wanted to talk about the Gallo High Noon thing. So there's a couple of things I thought was interesting, is that they, being a spirit-based product, has actually given them an edge in liquor channels where they're not allowed in grocery stores, because the liquor guys are like, hell yes, we're going to pump you up because we're the only brand that, what am I trying to say? You're not available anywhere else. Right?
Yeah, that was interesting when he pointed that out. And I hadn't even considered that as that liquor stores. I mean, obviously they, it's one of those duh kind of moments, but that they would use that as an opportunity to differentiate themselves. They're like, no, you want to come to the liquor store, stop getting your seltzer over there. Like, we have this. And he pointed out Specs and a few other places in Texas, and then Pennsylvania,
Total Wine
state stores. Yeah.
Yeah.
He said like they really pushed behind it. I was like, well, you love to have those guys in your corner for sure.
Yeah. You walk into a Total Wine, and there's always, I went there, I don't know, 2 weeks ago. There was big display of High Noon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, they got to put it front and center because the fridge is way in the back. I mean, you got to walk the whole store to get to the fridge. So
that's what liquor stores do, that on purpose. So you have to do that. It's like that weed store we were in Vegas, Jordan. They put all the good shit right in the back. We had to walk like 100 yards.
That was a terrible setup.
It was beautiful. It was just, weird. Yeah. And it looks like to me that they're not stopping with high noon, which why should they? It looks like Gallo's ready to be big in the RTD and whatever you want to call it, seltzer, RTD, all of it. They want to be in everything, and they should. Why wouldn't they? They are masters at it.
And I mean, I would say spirits in general, just because comparatively their spirits arm is, newer than their, the wine business has been around forever, but they've been like really pushing it lately. And I mean, they have like the high-end tequila and rum that are doing really, really well. Obviously High Noon is the biggest driver, so why wouldn't you? And when Burt West was talking about how he thinks about their, business, he's like, I don't even lump in RTDs when I'm thinking about spirits. He goes, I go traditional spirits. This is what's happening over here, and this is the strategy there. Versus RTDs are over here, separate animal, and we treat them differently. Right,
and that's I wonder why. I mean, I probably because there's different routes to market.
But I mean, also given their portfolio, I would say the RTDs are very different than the I don't think you would lump in an RTD with like their, high-end rum. I don't know how often those, overlap in where they sell or who they're selling to even sometimes.
Right. Yeah. It's a real mixed bag of success there when you try and lump a liquor brand in with an RTD. It either works great or it doesn't work at all. There's no like middle ground. It seems like, Smirnoff Ice has been the biggest success story of combining a liquor brand. And then you've got, Captain Morgan's Gold that was inedible. I mean, the bottle, you could eat the bottle, but the liquid inside was unsafe.
I'd be curious to know like what the demographic is behind High Noon, because it's so expensive. I feel like they're getting a much older crowd drinking seltzer than White Claw or Truly, just because college kids, it's $25 at Twin Liquors. I don't know how they could afford that.
For sure. But I think it's kind of hard, I think, to nail down the demographics on that one, or at least their target. He talked about it more in occasions than, which I feel like most people are now. That's how you're marketing your stuff, is where it's going and not necessarily who's consuming it. And their whole point is like wherever, obviously the on the go. And I imagine, I don't know, maybe people with more disposable income are on the go a little more.
Yeah, I guess in the on-premise too, all the seltzers are kind of same price too. So
he said something interesting too about flavors. Like they have a black cherry also, High Noon does, and a mango, and the typical ones that White Claw and Truly do also. But he's like, we don't like put those ones out like on premise. People don't want, because I don't blame them for not wanting another black cherry on the back. And that's why they said they're like he said peach, and then what was the other one that
Raspberry
was like pineapple and peach, where there are like their neck and neck number one flavors. It's like, well, they're a little more differentiated. Makes sense.
Yeah, I guess that's the game in that business. Coming up with something different.
Well, speaking of affordability, AB just brought that Neutral brand, which is basically their answer to High Noon. It's also spirits based, but they said Cutwater is not going to be competing with High Noon per se, because Cutwater generally has too much flavor, margarita, Mai Tai, mojito, that sort of thing. But Neutral is vodka soda. So speaking about affordability, I'm not sure how they're pricing it, but I can almost guarantee it'll be cheaper than High Noon.
Right.
So
absolutely, they got the scale to make it cheaper. But I mean, I still see I still see a lot of Bud Light seltzer around, and just around here, just at the pool and stuff, and White Claw and Truly, and everybody claims that nobody's drinking seltzer. That sure are around here.
Oh yeah.
That was a stupid thing anyway. The mainstream press. It's just stupid.
Yeah, I think they just really wanted to use fizzes out
Yeah.
as a phrase.
Or hangover in their
Yeah.
headline.
Yeah. Lost its head.
Mhm.
Oh, those silly mainstream media.
Another interesting thing, Sarah, was that they just with one change of a law in Michigan, they gained 8,000 accounts, or no, 3,000 to 4,000 accounts. They are highly motivated to change the laws if you can get that many more accounts, and just by changing the law, not by doing any commercial or business activities.
Yeah, I mean, you're certainly, going to be careful not to say that they're like lobbying for it or anything like that, but certainly keeping like a really close eye on it, because that is significant. So
yeah,
they have to, I'm factor that in, similar to other spirit-based RTDs would have to, how would you attack adding another 3,000 to 4,000 accounts that suddenly want you? That would be something you'd have to be ready for.
right. Oh, I saw today that Boston Beer is starting to encourage their distributors to switch from sixtels to half barrels, but until we know what's going to happen with the Delta variant and if we're going to get another lockdown. If there is another lockdown, there'd be fewer bigger kegs in the market. It's interesting. I was looking at the data today. It looks like as late June was the bottom of the COVID outbreaks per day. It was like June 25th or something, and then it's just shot up since then. And here we are at August 9th, just 3 weeks later, and it's shooting back up to where we were at our peak in like February. So if we do get lockdowns and we get another scenario where we're getting kegs back, and that whole nightmare scenario that we had in 2020 in March, the brewers, I think, are already scaling back. They're a little spooked, and they're like, let's not order a lot of draft right now, even though on premise it's exploding and we have no cans or bottles to give you. We also don't want to give you kegs. So is there a package? I'm thinking now that these beatbox guys are brilliant with their Tetra Pak.
Tetra Paks,
Right.
totally.
I mean, geez, it's hard to get it fluid in anything these days.
I have I open that Tetra Pak and I'll just like take swigs of it. I swear to God, that thing lasts me a week.
It's amazing. That is what I like about resealable.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you didn't even have a drink.
I just need a little bit. Just take the edge out.
Right? Should allow them on airplanes.
Yeah, Millie just takes those. I can't believe they
Shampoo
like
bottles,
6
travel
shampoo bottles. Like, why are you carrying 6 clear shampoo? They didn't even ask her. So,
Well, what was the thing that FAA was like, can you stop selling alcohol to go at the airport bars and restaurants? And like they're just taking it on the plane and getting shit faced there.
I mean, Hot Girl Summer has entered the airport of America, and it's just gotten out of hand. I mean, people just don't know how to act anymore. People have forgotten how to act in public. I mean,
you can't use the airport as a baseline though.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
there were never any rules at the airport.
Sarah, when I was a kid, I put on a coat and tie going to the airport. You got dressed up in your
even have
Sunday
airplanes.
best. Yeah, you had to. Yeah.
You guys had airplanes.
You had airplanes. I mean, they had propellers on them. Yeah. We've already talked about that guy that got tied up, didn't we? That got taped.
No, we have not. Duct tape to his seat.
I mean, wow, what a jackass! But at least his parents are worth $2 million, so I'm sure he's on easy street now. All right, guys, that's all I had. Y'all got anything else?
I think to leave it.
All right, guys. Well, y'all, thanks for drinking beer and seltzer and RTDs, and I will talk to you later.
See ya.
Why don't you just talk through that the whole time, Jen? It sounds clearer.
Let's go back.
understand why nobody wants to listen to it. My God,
I hope there are other people out there with you.
No, they're not. They're like far-ish. Also, fuck them.
I could listen to that all day, Jen. You know, can I just get a recording of that on a loop and we can just have that as a streaming out on our website?
This is funny because number 2 is supposed to be spooky. There's nothing spooky about this. Listen.
Oh, it's creepy. It's spooky. Yes.
Well, I was working out yesterday. You're cutting this anyway, right?
Oh no, this is the best part. I'm putting this in the beginning. Never
mind, because I was gonna show you what Bill did to me yesterday when I was working out, but I don't think it's ready for prime time.
No. We'll just leave that to George's imagination.
It was funny.
Why mine?
No, it was something he said. Anyhow.
Oh, that's fantastic. All right, guys, take care. Have fun.